Hello. Good afternoon, everyone, or evening, or whatever it is where you are right now. I'm Sky Nero, or STT, also known as Sky Nero. Welcome to our Wednesday night stream. Today, we will be playing Subway Builder. Uh, if you've followed me for a while, especially back on YouTube, you've probably seen Subway Builder before. I've posted about it, and OBS is not showing right now, because of course it's not. We can fix that. Subway Builder is less of a game and more of just like a big sandbox thing. Oh, and still not even wanting to show. You can hear it. It's not showing though. Alright, let's fix this. But yeah, Subway Builder is exactly what it sounds like on the tin with it's a big sandbox where you get to build subways in a bunch of major cities around the world. Well, it started out just as the US, and I know they've added some British cities as well. Um, but they keep adding things, and it's really fun because they use real population data and real street maps and real building heights and depths as you try to build through stuff. All right, hang on a minute. Let's try to figure out exactly what's going on here. What you're seeing on the screen right now is a screenshot of one of my previous runs where I was building in Washington, D.C., which is the metro area where I'm based. And we're actually going to revisit that because Washington, D.C. was the very first map that I made. And I've learned a lot about the game since then. And yeah, we're just not getting any of that, are we? All right, so what we're going to do here, I think if we do this, what do we get? That is larger than I want it to be, but we can fix that. Squink, scrunk, down. Okay. So what I'm showing now is a live view of one of my more recent maps. If you can't already tell, this is of San Francisco. And we are about 2/3 through my first year, and San Francisco is the largest, most extensive map that I have built. So you're seeing the actual San Francisco right now. We're going to zoom out here, and you'll see the entire map that I've built. There's Oakland. There's the north area. I totally forget what that city is. And we can keep zooming out. We can go inland. We can go down to San Jose as well. Again, this is the most massive map that I have ever built in Subway Builder. I think it's something like 400 total stations. Let me see here. This might take a while for it to pull up station ridership because when it's this big, oh, over 500 stations. There you go. And it's really interesting. Like, this map gives you some idea of some of the things that you can even look forward to already as you're playing Subway Builder. You'll see some of the biggest ridership is in some of the densest areas in San Francisco and Oakland, and then some of like central San Jose. Otherwise, I've got big junction points, also giving large ridership. Just good to always connect people. I mean, that's the whole thing about subway and public transit. You're trying to connect people here. But I've had a real lot of fun with Subway Builder, and I didn't want to show off the whole San Francisco Bay Area map here because I'm still shocked at what I was able to do on this map in well under a year. And it really does depend on density of people and how well you connect those high density areas. So when I started this map, I started in San Francisco itself, extended down roughly to the airport, and then built over into Oakland. And from there, it was actually really easy to go through Fremont down into San Jose. And then once all that was done, I kind of built out the rest of the map. Because when you link up those high density areas, you can make money really quickly. This is a sandbox game, so you actually can do it in a complete sandbox mode, in which case you have no monetary restrictions whatsoever. Usually when you play in normal mode, you are given a $3 billion starting amount, starting bank, which is really kind of fun to try to budget and see what the best route you can make with just that first 3 million or 3 billion. Ideally 2 billion, because you want to leave some room for you to start your extensions even when your ridership is still pretty low because you've only got one really short route. So as I said, I just wanted to kind of show off San Francisco so you can kind of see what an end product looks like. I will also point out again what I was showing off to start the stream. This is a map of DC. It's one of several screenshots that I took of my DC map. We're actually going to exit out of San Francisco here. Exit to menu. I'm not going to, well, do I want to open the old DC map? I don't think so, because what we're going to do is we're going to start a new game on DC. DC is, again, a relatively high density thing. I have also played, what have I played before? I've played actually from San Francisco through Miami. I've done all of those. I haven't done any of the big three yet. Phoenix and Atlanta are a lot harder than like Houston and Miami. Houston and Miami, there are some really nice, oh, you can't see what I'm doing. Sorry. So Phoenix and Atlanta are a lot harder than Houston and Miami because Phoenix and Atlanta are just spread out. There's no real good corridor to start your subway system, and Miami and Houston have that. Like, considering that Houston does not have its own subway system in real life, I was shocked how easy it was to build in Houston, because downtown Houston and a few of the areas near it are just so conducive to putting a subway system in. But yeah, we're gonna go back to Washington. We're gonna go normal mode. Again, you start with that $3 billion bank. So let's see. We're gonna compare this view right here. Actually, we're gonna zoom out a little bit. There we go. That'll be a good zoom out. And I'll move this to show off what I'm going to talk about here. So one of the first screenshots that I was showing is right there in downtown DC. You've got basically a nice corridor along, let me pull this up. A nice corridor along the central, I think that's L Street, might be K Street. I'm forgetting exactly which one. Oh, and my screen down just looks awful. I'm not gonna do that. There we go. Anyway, yeah, that central corridor right along L or K Street from Foggy Bottom, almost starting at Georgetown through Foggy Bottom, downtown DC and eastward. I'm actually going to come in here and show you one of the nice things. Again, as I said, this game uses real population data. So what I'm showing right now is where residents are, and then I'm showing right here where workers are. When I started, let me actually get rid of this view for a moment. So you can see the full worker view here. Residents and workers. So when I first played Washington, D.C., you'll notice like there's a huge residential corridor here, and then a relatively good worker corridor here. So when I had gone in originally, I had built up the orange line that you kind of see just going straight across the map. That is a good corridor to start, but I think I overpaid for the orange line that I did, because I made this orange line at depth because, again, I live and work in DC. I ride the real orange line all the time. It goes pretty deep. And so I built it deep to start with. It's like, oh, I'm going to have to go under all these buildings. But if you actually look at the map of my previous run, I mostly put it under streets, which you don't need to go as deep under. So I kind of doubled my own price to start with, so I'm going to fix that this time. And looking at the distribution of workers and residents, you'll notice there are a lot of residents here kind of in northern DC. And while I did start with a blue line equivalent sort of thing that kind of touched on some of those workers, I didn't actually really consider where residents and workers went. Now, something I've learned while playing the game later. So if I actually go in here and we actually look at some of these residents, I'm going to take a little box here. They do come down into DC, they kind of go off to the side, and I actually didn't really have a good connection for these workers down into here. Also, if I select some of the workers, like again, I made a box through here, you'll notice that there's a lot of workers over here so that this line really isn't catching them. So if I only have orange this way and blue here, a lot of these people aren't actually getting on the metro to come into this workspace. So what my plan is this time around, we're going to go in and try to remap what I had done last time. So we're keeping the orange line roughly the same, although we're not going to build it as deep. Last time I built this white line because I wanted to go in and catch, oh geez. I thought I was going to catch some of these workers more toward the National Mall as opposed to L Street and K Street there. The white line that I built, you can see even at the end of my gameplay, didn't get a lot of workers. So I'm not going to worry about building the white line like this. Instead, I'm going to focus on the blue. And what I learned playing was the red line that I built. Again, the red and the blue here are not the same as the red and blue in the real world. I've kind of renamed them. But I'm going to try to capture them. Also, this sky blue line that I made actually turns out really helpful. I'm going to move it a little ways away from the orange line and instead kind of create a three-way point where blue, red, and sky blue can interact. So that is the goal of this redo. We're going to go in here also. This is going to look nasty. Let me do this and just do this. A couple of other screenshots to show off from my previous playthrough of DC. We've got further down the orange line into Northern Virginia. You can see the sky blue line extending as well. I went out to Falls Church, and you'll notice I've got a weird cluster of 3 stations here. That's because sky blue and this kind of magenta line were late additions to my game. If I had known better, I would have made the station on the orange and the station on the silver a little bit further along so I could plan ahead for sky blue to come through, and instead of having 3 stations, I can just do 2, and that'll save me some nice station costs. Anything I wanted to point out here, this is more of Northern Virginia. Here's that blue line I was talking about earlier that goes down to the airport, really busy. Yellow line here, my version of the yellow line, actually goes down Columbia Pike, and it is actually relatively well used. You'll see there's one other instance where station was not planned super well because I've got 2 that are kind of far apart when they should honestly be on top of each other. And let me actually scroll back. You'll see where yellow kind of showed up again, where I was using it as well. Not a lot of use. If I were to do it again, I might actually make yellow come up and replace a little bit of what white is doing here. Anything else? I think there's one more I wanted to show. Oh yeah, just a little bit more down into Northern Virginia. I don't think there was anything to correct here, except maybe down in this Crystal City area. When I was making the purple line earlier, in my earlier playthrough, how it interacted with the silver got really messy because I didn't understand signal changing. The way that Subway Builder handles signals just gets really messy if you've got one line stopping in the middle of another line. So that's why you got this kind of weird offshoot thing going on with my purple. And it just didn't work out super well. I lost a lot of time and money with trains getting stuck. With that said, let's go in and start building in our new version of this map. All right, so as I said earlier, we're going to start with redoing our orange line. And actually, everything that I did on this previous map of Washington, D.C., I did with light rail. Because based on the description of light versus heavy rail, I thought that's more or less what I wanted to build for the map. Another thing that I've learned since playing the game is, honestly, when you've got really high density areas, heavy rail is the better way to go. So we're going to build heavy rail. We're going to go just slightly deep enough to make things work and build out some stations. And actually, before I build a station, I'm going to go back. I should have kept one of those screenshots up. One moment here. You're going to see my files and all my screenshots. Where did that go? Here we are. So if I'm really building, I want to make one station, again, right above the White House here, one station at this circle, one station at the crossover where red will happen. And then this is going to be consolidated. So I need to fix that north of Union Station. So let me start. I'm going to start here, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to see if I can build 10 stations and get somewhere into the Northern Virginia side of things and also get all the way over to Union Station in the east. All right. Hello, are you? Sorry I didn't notice you popping in earlier. I was talking a lot about this game because I have an unhealthy obsession with this game. If we're being fully honest. I've spent so much time in this game. The nice thing about this game is if you actually end up building a subway system that makes money pretty easily, then it's a very sort of AFK sort of game. You can just set it off to the side, let it run, and okay, I don't want to get in trouble with this building here. This is the one issue with not going deep, just kind of staying shallow, is you do run into building depths. So I think that's where that one wanted to be, right above that square. Yes. I might want to put a station here. I know we're putting a station just outside the White House. Let's make it a little bit lower here. There we go. So it lines up a bit more with the 7th Street station. Do I want to put one in the middle? Let me look at my demand stats here. Potentially. How far apart are these? Nearest station is that's a 20-minute walk. That's usually something that I like. Because if we put another station in between, that's just a 10-minute walk between stations. That seems really close. So I'm actually going to skip over that one. We'll make another station here. Well, here, I say. Washington Circle, and then we're going to want one over in Georgetown, right? Washington Circle, Georgetown, yes. Wait, where did I put that? It's just straight, okay, just straight along. So right around here, I guess, before we curve out. So how are we doing on cost right now? That right now, we're building shallow, which is nice, so we're still at less than 400,000. Or 400 million, I should say. So these are now definitely further apart than my previous map, because if we were to go on my previous map from Georgetown to Union Station, so right now we're just looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Georgetown to Union would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 with the correction. Okay, so it's not too much different. That's not too much different. I'm not mad at that. So the next thing to do then is to get into Northern Virginia here. We might have to go deeper here just because of the way this kind of Roslyn, Clarendon courthouse corridor is like. Where did I put my stations last time? Because Roslyn is tough. Roslyn, that one I think has to be deep. But then we can go shallower for the rest. Yeah, Roslyn has to be deep. We want to avoid those buildings. Where are my other stations? So we're going to put one here, apparently. One roughly here. and then Roslyn here. So Roslyn, let's take you like this. Oh, that's a track. It's not a station. Gotta fix that. This initial starting time is going to be a little slow, but once we get the run going, should flow a bit better. Now let's angle this as best we can. Ooh, that's going to be tough. I think that's okay. And then do I want this one? Looks like it's straighter, so we're going to kind of dive between those builds. Oh, nope. All right, we will do this. That'll have to do. Okay, let's try to build the tracks here and see how much money we have to work with. Don't want to run into those buildings. Now here's the thing, you can make your curves on your tracks whatever you want. Obviously you want them to be less curved because that lets the trains move quicker and you can move more people in the same amount of time. Which is obviously a good thing. Now let's get you down, go 79. Uh-oh. How deep is that building? Oh, that's not what I want to do. Building foundation depths. It says it should only be like 14. That's... Okay. Okay. Apparently that was a 12-meter foundation instead of a 10-meter foundation, which, whatever. Okay. We can do that, I guess. Let's see. So we want to go down. We need to get quickly down beneath 8. There we go. And then we can do this. All right. How are we doing on costs? So now we're at 1 billion for this starting line. I feel like I should go a little bit further into Clarendon here. If we can get all the way out to Boston, that would be great. Where's my demand? Yeah, if we can get to Boston, that would be amazing. But I want to save enough money to do another line or two. At least set up what we are planning for our other lines. Because again, trying to get some of these people would be amazing. And one thing that I neglected to mention, but something I'm planning on for this run-through, based on last run-through, is you can see there's actually a lot of workers up here. There's a university right here and a hospital system up here. And I kind of hit them going last time with my green line, going north from roughly where Union Station was. But it didn't work out so well. Those weren't well-attended stations. So we need to... Oh, okay. So, yeah, because this people wants to fetch over here. So the green line that did this did not fetch those workers. And the hospital center, again, kind of wants to fetch from just west of it, not due south. So one thing I'm planning this time around is gonna have this right here, this kind of curve coming down toward DuPont. This is Florida Avenue. So I'm actually gonna try to make a line that hits Florida Avenue and then goes under both of these. So we're gonna have a lot of stuff happening at DuPont Circle. We're gonna have the blue line coming up, going north and south. We're gonna have the red line coming from the east, and then we're gonna have whatever new line going up Florida Avenue, and then the sky blue, as we said earlier, coming across. So that's going to be a lot of interconnected stations to worry about. We're going to make a couple more, because again, we want to get down into Boston here. Once the game starts, you'll also start hearing the trains go, and that makes it won't be just me talking to silence here. I probably should have put on some, like, free-to-use music just because I could. But I forgot. All right, so we definitely want to reach all the way out to Boston here, then maybe 1, 2, 3 more stations in between. So let's go all the way out. That's here. Build station 6 under. So we've got Roslyn, Courthouse, Clarendon, I forget whatever is right here. And there's Virginia Square. One, two. See, those are really close. Those are really close. Like, if I want to compare how close these stations are, so this is our Clarendon station, 12-minute walk. So that was what I was kind of questioning over here, because if I put stations there, that'd be 10 minutes. 12 minutes is okay. I'm happy with a 12-minute walk, I think. Vermont right now is 47 away, so we want to divide this up into 3 or maybe even 4 sections here. All right. If we divide it into 3, that's a 15-minute walk between stations. I think that's okay. Yeah, that's probably okay. So, well, actually, hang on, let me one more check. Oh, I just closed the screenshots again. Dang it, I just wanted to minimize it, but I closed it. Oh, I keep doing that. Was there anything? Okay, no other lines cross, so it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter to keep anything in particular. One thing that is nice to do when especially if you're used to building along roads, is build stations where there are intersections of your road. So like right here is fun, right here is fun, right here. That's why I also put this right here for this north-south road, because my purple line will eventually go through that. But we're gonna make station here in Virginia Square. I'll just put one more in, I guess right around here. So, Lincoln Street here, what are your distances? 14 and 18. That's not too bad. Now this worker spot, 12-minute walks to 2 stations. Awesome. This one down here, again, 12 minutes to that. Awesome. Some of the other residents, like, okay, you're probably 18. That's not bad. Are you even able to hit 23? Okay, 23 is about as far as I think. The game gives you up to half an hour for what people are willing to walk for. I usually try to keep it down to like 20 minutes. So yeah, we've got something there just near the end. All right, so let's connect to these stations and then start building some of our other routes. Awesome. Oh, dang. Don't do that, don't do that. Oh, no. Don't do that. Okay, a little turn of a 61 there, but that's okay. That's too steep. Let's zoom in here. You can have really fine grain control in this game, and sometimes that can drive you crazy. So as I was kind of saying earlier, this game is great to have an AFK game as long as your system is making money. But when you're doing this sort of actual design phase of things, you can really get in the weeds, and that can take you out of things. And that is a comment that goes poof. Okay. So now we want to start planning for our other other routes here. So the sky blue line that I talked about is actually an above ground route. And honestly, the way that I've been building this, aside from going through Roslyn here, this entire line that I built probably could have been above ground as well. In fact, now I'm second guessing myself. What if I just had a really nasty turn right here and built this above ground? How much money would I save? So I'm going from 6 below to 5 above, that'd be a 20% cost reduction. We're at 1 point. You know what? This hasn't been expensive yet. I'm not going to worry about it. Hasn't been that expensive yet. I say. So we're going to first build some of our red line stations here. So one of them is going to go across you. Oh, let's get that a little bit more centered. There we go. Because blue is going to go, or sky blue is going to go across the top. So this is in theory going to come meet with this. Now, one thing I did in the previous game is I had red actually go concurrent with this, because that meant I didn't have to build another station. But in order to do that and have the red line curved, I went under all of these other buildings with extra curves, and also that forced orange to go deep as well as red. So instead of building many stations and many tracks at depth, I'm actually going to build the extra station, because then that's the only thing at depth. And then I can build the tracks up from it so that it's not so bad. Once it just hits 89, we're good. Now, where else was red supposed to go? Red goes... Union Station, of course. And then it will meet up, in theory, with a white line connection over here. And it will have to go... Well, okay, it doesn't have to. Because if I'm being fast and loose with the white line, then I can build a red line station here and a red line station here. And then just have the new version of the white kind of slink on in to go with it. That will probably be better. Probably. Let me look at the demand stats. So, all right, first off, obviously, we have Union Station, and it has to connect with the green, so it has to go underneath Capitol Street here. Due south. Oh, that's a track, that's not a station. So we start like that. In theory, I'm aiming for these other parks, but how's the demand look? Okay, that actually works out well for this demand. Not a lot of... Okay, so that's the end of the workers, basically. But we're going to catch some good resident catches with this group on this park and this group on that park. So that's fine. Let's do it. One station there. And one station there. Oh no, wait a minute. Did I just hit... Oh, is that a statue that I've just hit the foundation of? $1 million. Rude. Let me go around this thing if I can. Oh no. I'll go around on this side. Okay, that works. That works. Silliness, I say. Silliness. We now have the start of the new red line before it gets messy here right in DuPont Circle. So as I said earlier, we're going to have red and blue meet and go straight north while something's coming around Florida. So when the blue line hits the sky blue line, it's going to be here. I'm building tracks again, not a station. And then blue is going to come into Washington Circle, which I'm getting to put at depth now. And if I'm going at depth, then I don't need to worry about going around the building, so I'm just going to kind of go through them like this. And then... So then red and blue are going to meet together, and let's put a station for them right. That's a track. I did it again. them do this. So then there's going to be one more coming up the other way. Well, there's going to be a couple. So there's one right here. That's the station we built right there. We're going to need to put another station kind of at that little diagonal. So up here. That. All right, let's connect these. And that's not great. We do that. There we go. All right, so we do this. 47, that's fine. Come out. Connect. 36, that's not great, but we'll handle it. And then, unfortunately, we're also going to have to, like, have tracks crossing over each other. So there's going to be a point right here where tracks are just going over each other. So the red and the blue / whatever color we build here, there might be some trains getting crossed, but I think we can deal with that. How's our cost doing? Okay, we're already at 2.5. We're already at 2.5, so we can't build much more. So we got to be careful. What else will really help in terms of our numbers and getting people where they need to be? Now, obviously, there's a lot of people on what this route will be. And we're going to want that. I'm going to make one station here for Kennedy Center. Or previously, I put like a Kennedy Center station here. We're moving it a few blocks away so that it lines up a little bit better with the other lines that we're building here. Do that. Do that. Okay. Cost is now, we're still at 2.5. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Blue will eventually come down to the Pentagon. Actually, I wonder if I should make that right now. Kind of want to try to make that right now. Because the Pentagon is a big, like, if we go back and see our demand stats, that's a lot of workers. Actually, you know what? I don't need to worry about that right now. You know why? Because look at where these dots are. They are not in DC itself. There actually are not a lot of Pentagon workers living in DC itself. That's actually kind of funny to see. There's a lot more kind of further out in Northern Virginia. So it would be good at some point to connect this corridor to the Pentagon. But we don't need to do it right now. Let's look at Crystal City in the airport. Where are these people coming from? Certainly some in DC, but a lot more down here in Northern Virginia. So we're going to definitely try to build out our Northern Virginia connections before we dig too much more into DC, I think. Because one thing that we haven't done yet, and we'll add some cost to our things, is we need to put our crossovers in at the endpoints of each line. Now, if this was a real metro system, we would actually probably be putting crossovers between each and every station so that you can really flip switches and do maintenance where you need to. The game here doesn't really worry about maintenance that much, which is kind of silly, but you know, we'll let it go. We'll let it go. And we'll get down here into South DC at some point soon as well. I do want to serve the Columbia Avenue corridor soon. So that might be my next line where we build that yellow, get it past the Pentagon, and then bring it into DC. Because I think that might come and link up with the red at some point. We will be building out green and red to come down into Maryland. Because that was one thing I actually really liked about my previous map, is that I built out the lines that actually went to like National Harbor, and there's a residential spot, hang on, way down here in Waldorf. And Waldorf is absolutely not served by the current DC Metro at all. The National Harbor isn't either, for that matter. But I've been to the National Harbor quite a lot over the past 2 years. It really should be served by public transit better than it is. Um, okay, hang on. Can we fudge a little bit more? We've got $2.6 billion in costs right now. We are avoiding the Pentagon for now. So let's build. We're going to do a little bit further north on red and blue. Ooh, I could. Do I want to build sky blue yet? I mean, that would really help with some of DC. All right, let's extend up Florida Avenue first a little bit more. Yeah. Let's go. Let's put one. Wait, how's word on demand again? Like yeah, right there will be good. Build a station there. Across from Wyoming. Okay, now we're at 2.7. It would be nice if I could get some of these people. I don't know if I'm going to have the money to start with, though, especially because, again, we need to go in and add our crossovers. We only put crossovers in on the orange so far. So let's put some crossovers here on our Florida Avenue line and on our red line. We actually don't even need dark blue right now. Well, actually, we kind of do with the way we built it out, because if you're on up here and you want to get down here, there's not even really a walkable crossover between these three stations. So we do need our makeshift blue line to show up there. I really want to build one more station, but I've already put the crossovers in, so let's go in and build those blueprints. Can't. Oh no, you've got to be kidding me. So can't read. We're gonna keep doing this until it works, because there we go. See, it just there we go. They're built now. I've had that problem with this game a couple times before. It's weird. I don't know why it does that, because I'm obviously streaming. The internet's fine. It wasn't like my internet connection was bad. Sometimes the server just doesn't want to cooperate, though. All right, so things are built now. We actually have to assign routes. So we are going to start doing this orange route, starting way over here, going over here. Now we got to fill it in. This is a little tedious. I wish you could automate this part of the game a little bit, but yeah, it's quick enough, you know. And then actually, as we get going, you'll see something else that I like to do typically is what I was showing off earlier. I was playing the game kind of what the game assumes is normal speed, but it's actually quite slow in my opinion. Oh, good lord, I have to parse this out now. Ooh. We've zoomed in enough we can hear the actual station noise. That's kind of fun. All right. So that is our orange line. We have the option to do double long trains. I don't think we need that right now. We'll see how it goes. And I'm going to do nighttime service. Even though usually when you start out a map, nighttime service does not make financial sense. So next up, we're creating a red line. And red line is going to start down here. And we're going to rename all these stations as well. As we get through things. Da, 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 da. And now we have to zoom in and figure out which is which here. There we go. All right, confirm those. We are going to make, I'm actually going to go not here. We're going to custom this color so that it is just all the way there. This is the white line. Create root starting up here. It's going down here. That's actually a really short route. And last but not least, our blue line. And I think I use B for the regular one. Yes, now I'm going to create this route. And it's going to connect to the end of the red with the end of the white for now. All right, we'll confirm those. We don't want another line at the moment, but let's start renaming some of these stations. So this 16th Street, that's the White House. This is that's Convention Center, I think. No, that's not the Convention Center. We're just gonna call. Oh, this is Gallery Place. Gallery Place, Chinatown. All right, you know what? I'm going to actually set the game in motion so you don't have to watch me going through all this renaming because it is high time. Set the game. Oh shit! Hang on, I'm dumb. I only put trains on the orange line, didn't I? It would help. So yes, orange line has trains. Everyone else needs trains. We're gonna run just one train on every line so far. I don't think we need much more, especially with these like 10 and 12 minute times. All right, let's run that now. There we go. That's better. That's better. Now with 4 lines, putting a evening train on every single line is almost certainly going to be cost ineffective for me. But we will let the game run for a moment to let that cost stuff play out. It's going to be a lot more busy once we get into morning rush hour. We're still only at 4 in the morning. What are these parks again? We actually, you know what? We'll leave those. I'm going to name the ones that I'm familiar with. So this was, which circle was that? This is Washington Circle, though. Washington Circle Station, and then we've got Georgetown over here. Actually, I'm going to call this Georgetown Waterfront because we're going to have another Georgetown eventually showing up. Roslyn, Courthouse, Clarendon. I also forget what that one is, but we know this one is Virginia Square. And over here is Ballston. Alright, we are at noon on day 1 now. Let's actually take a look at our finances. So last 24 hours. Actually, that's not bad for the evening hours. That's not bad for losses. For as many trains as I was running. I will probably scale back on at least one of the lines. Because I'm not making enough during the day to make up for the evening hours at the moment. So I may turn off one of these lines, but I'm going to, again, let the game run for a little bit so that we can actually pick which line seems like the most sensible to turn off. It's going to either be the blue or the white, because they're both really short and aren't serving a ton of people yet. Yet being the key word. I like having them here for the planning out to the future. But so as you can see, we are running in fast mode right now, and we're not even through a full day yet. We're now past the evening rush hour. It's nighttime. We're absolutely going to start losing money again. I'm going to let a full 2 days run though, because I want that data. In some maps, you can kind of see a weekly schedule go through the use data, which is really interesting to me because I didn't think they had like weekday versus weekend patterns built into the game. But sometimes it shows, and it'd be really interesting to see how well that works. But that's kind of why I want to see a couple of days, because there are day-to-day fluctuations in ridership. All right, so what's the full exposure for day 1? We actually made money on day 1. That's actually pretty cool. I was not expecting that. I'm surprised. Because, I mean, look at how much we're in the red during the nights. And not quite, you know, not super in the green during the days, but works out. Now, again, I was not making a lot of money. Let's actually just go back up here and that's not a big difference. This is 5 million in one day is not going to get me money quickly to start building more stations. So we're gonna want to parse down one of these other lines, but let's see what our station ridership already looks like. Yeah, I think we're going to have to turn off the white line to start with. Until we can build it out a little bit more, that white line is just not going to be serving us super well. Let's look at our route ridership. Well, okay, I say that. It's doing better than blue is. Which is telling me that these people aren't connecting with these people very much, and they don't need to. So once we are done with day 2, I'm going to turn off the blue line, which should almost cut my costs by 20% without changing too much of my ridership. Let's see here. Trying to think what else we can plan on doing. That would be nice. So there are a couple things to ponder when you are building out this game. One thing I've learned is that extending an existing line is almost always more cost effective than building a new line. So with that in mind, I'm probably, once I turn off the blue line, I might extend white up to like the university and the hospital system here. So that's in theory 2 more stations. We're gonna have to go deep underground to get under this lake, and then we're probably gonna have to go diagonal through a few things anyway, and through buildings. So it's gonna be more expensive, which means I probably need at least 400,000, maybe 500,000, just to build 2 new stations to serve the university and the hospital. All right, we're almost done with the days here. We'll do a quick pause. Okay. Yeah. We barely made 3 million. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna turn off the blue line. Oops. Blue. Honestly, I can just probably delete. Yeah, we're gonna do that. Let's run it for a moment. Okay, the train is gone, which means we can just delete blue. Okay. I don't know if there's a difference between having no trains on a route versus not having a route. I'm going to delete the route entirely because it's still short right now. I don't have much to make up if I want to do it again. And if that saves me any money, then that's great. So, all right, we're going to let that run. And in the meantime, let's start planning our white line extension here. Let's start looking at demand. So, in theory, we want to serve the university here and then also serve the hospital up here. Now, there's very few residents up by the hospital. We will build just something straight down the middle because I think that makes the most sense. Now, we're going to have to go down and under to hit this sort of stuff. There's some residents here at the university, but I mean, we're going to just put something there, I think, right on top. So here's the thing. Now we have to connect this to that in a smart way, which I think means we're going to snake down into this building and over. Now, how close is this station to the other stations? Irving Street, 16 minutes. That's fine. U Street, 26. That's a little far away for my liking. So we might build an extra station right in here as well, just to bridge the gap, which is going to be tough. Right now, we have enough money to build these two stations. We will have enough money to put the third in, but actually connecting them with track is where we're going to run into problems, where we're going to run out of money. All right, so we've got this. We're going to build right in between. You know what? I'm just realizing right now is me putting a station right here. Actually, let's move it slightly over. You know what? No, I think I like that where it was earlier. Yeah. This building right here, this is a high school, and this open spot right here is a soccer field where I have spent probably months worth of my time with my soccer club. That's actually kind of funny. That was not planned as I was thinking of hitting the hospital and the university there. But that is actually, yeah, fun little Easter egg there. We are moving slowly. See, there's the station costs have now. The stations were built. The track is now making it expensive. Stations, 225, fine. Now, one thing I've learned is whenever you build stations, depending on how far apart you use them, connecting them with track will cost about the same amount as the stations themselves. So this 225, I'm expecting to become 450, and that's assuming we don't even go deep. We maybe can actually just go around the lake now that I look about it, because that might. So we either go deep and go straight under, or we take more track to go around. I'll do a little experiment to see which one is quicker, or not quicker, but which one actually ends up costing less in the long run. All right, so now I've got this, got that. Ooh, that is 36 miles per hour. That is not fun. Okay. So right now, our cost is 285 million. Sure. All right, so 285, remember that amount. As we try to go around the lake here. So 285 becomes 340. So this section of track right here, from 285 to 340, that's $55 million worth of track. So let's see what happens if we try to go deep and get under the lake. Actually, hang on, the lake is -8. We might be able to get away with just going to 9 here, in which case we don't incur the cost of going deep. It works! Oh, actually, you know what? I have learned something that works a lot better. So there's a 43. I don't like that. But instead of 340, or instead of 440, it's now 3. Wait, no. What happened there? Hang on. $285. I'm being dumb. I'm being dumb, y'all. I'm forgetting what I said earlier. 285 to 340 is what I thought we said a moment ago, right? $285 to 340. If we just do this, 285 to 340. Right. And that's staying at that -6. If we go to 9, which is not supposedly not incurring extra costs, that was like 343. This is 347. So it was cheaper to take a longer route, even though the stated cost, this little multiplier here, didn't change. Oh, you know what the thing was? I'm not factoring in water. If you actually tunnel under a lake, it also incurs extra costs. I forgot about the water cost. So this is cheaper, making total sense. Okay. Yeah, that is definitely cheaper. So add a crossover here, getting up to this hospital. So the white line's going to be a lot more useful once we get the money for it. So our cost to build right now, again, is 355. We're at 258. I think we can still do this now because the game does let you take out loans. Before I do that, let me double check and see if our blue line... Oh, look at what that did. Yeah, we barely lost any revenue, and our expenses did get cut from 30 to 24. So that's 6 out of 30. Yeah, 20% we cut those costs. And so our now operational profits jumped from like 4 to almost 10. So we're making 10,000, or not 10,000, $10 million a day, basically. Which means we could just wait 10 days and build this line. I don't feel like waiting because I believe we are probably making enough. Yeah, if you're making 10 million a day in revenue as opposed to total profits, and we are well above that, we're at like 30 some. They'll let you take out a loan. So what we're gonna do, I always like to wait till right around midnight to do any changes, because then that gets really close to your you know, the finances thing counts by day, so you can really split things up that way. And also, your routes are usually less busy at night, especially in the early game. On some other maps, you don't even want to run your routes at night at all. So if you do your changes at night, then you are not interrupting service for anything to do that. And it just looks really clean in all the numbers. And I'm a math person, numbers person. I love really clean numbers, which is not necessarily something you need or want to do, but I like it. So there. We are going to wait until the evening rush hour peters out here, and then get our loan and build more of the white line. Let's remember to stay hydrated, y'all. I'm getting a drink here because I need it. I've been talking a lot, actually. My throat is already feeling it, which is kind of funny. Oh, excuse me. So we're gonna actually, I'm not gonna rename yet because we're almost about time to flip. 11, 20, 30, 40, 50. We'll pause there and go in Can't build because we're not there officially, but we'll issue a bond. Now we can build. I love the little sound effects. Now that's there. We're going to take the white, edit the root. And now that is Washington Hospital. That is Howard University. Wait, I think that's Howard, right? Oh, good lord. It's not going to tell me, is it? Because I zoom in here. Yeah, it's not going to tell me. College Street, Bryant, West. Yeah, I think that's Howard University. I'm going to look so stupid if I'm wrong. You know what? I've got my phone here. Let me double check. Checking myself live just to be sure. Maps. Thankfully, as I said, this is my metro area. So in theory, I should know this stuff better. Yes, it's Howard. Okay. I can trust myself with that. All right, confirm those changes. Now let's see. We've got 21 minutes headway on those. We will actually increase demand or increase frequency on the white line. So we've got, this is South Columbia Heights. You know what? No, I'm going to call it Cardozo. That's right. That's exactly what it is. It's Cardozo. This, as we said, was Howard University. And this is MedStar Washington Hospital. I can spell. There we go. All right, so there's that. We will let that run. And so now, since we have a bond out, we're going to be losing some money per day to the bond. So what we're actually showing here as these operational profits is not the actual money we'll be making. The actual money we'll be making will this be whatever this, 9 or hopefully like 10 or 11 since we have more stations, minus those bond payments. So they will add up over the course of the day. But as long as we are paying off the bond, even if we're getting a negative on each day, we're still making 10, 11, hopefully, in profit. So even though our actual balance is going down, we're still effectively in the black for once the bond payment is paid off. So let's actually wait a day and see how that runs. We have to rename, right, Corcoran Street here. This is going to be what we're saying is circle. I am somewhat tempted to infill a station on the white line there. But I don't think we need it right now. Don't think we need it. They do have a journey planner feature, which is kind of cute, but I don't think it's necessary, especially for us. It's just I think this is more just kind of an Easter egg that you can look at things, especially because you can go really granular with your data. So let's actually go back into our demand stats. You'll notice most of the circles here are deep red, which means most people are just driving between home and work. But it is an RGB system where some people walk. A lot of people in DC, especially close to the center of town, will walk to work. And then, of course, other people will take transit. So we want to see lots of blues and purples. And you can already see down here in this Roslyn Courthouse, Clarendon, Ballston corridor, fair amount of purple is there already, which is nice to see. Now, we would love to see more of it. So let's, excuse me. Let's say we look at, this circle of people right here. There are, what they say, like 11 or it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11 different populations represented at that location. And you can see where they're all going. So like, let's say these people who are taking transit, they would normally have to drive into DC with this extra red line that they've drawn on. But all of them are now taking transit because they've got stations almost exactly where they want on both. So this whole thing is just blue. 100% of these people are taking transit. We can split that up differently. Say this population, it's going up into Georgetown. Some people actually just walk, which is honestly not an inviolable thing. Like, I used to live, where did I live? I lived around here somewhere. I would walk into Roslyn and I would walk into Georgetown, and both were perfectly fine. Putting those together, a little bit of a longer walk, that's for sure. But some people are doing it. You'll see some people are now taking the transit, which I assume is from this station to here, and walking the rest of the way. But most people are still driving, because the time change for having to actually take transit, it's 26 minutes. If someone is rich enough to have a car, that's definitely less than a 26-minute drive. But yeah, it's fun. You can get really granular with this sort of stuff. Who are these people? Okay, now why would anyone drive that? Because there's a station on top of you here and a station on top of you over here. If these people with a shorter drive are 100%... Okay, I don't know. But again, they are using real census data, so these two populations could represent two different things. So we've got 15K to 200K as the incomes for this population. 15K to 200K for this population. All right, I don't know. But you can see, like, from this resident spot, there are 3 different worker spots that are getting really, really high transit scores. Yeah, here's the other one. So that's always really cool to see. We are definitely now in the next day. Actually, I think we're 2 days away now. So let's look at our costs things. So we are, in theory, we didn't get a huge increase in operational profit from day 5 to day 6. So that is 9.5 million in profit there. This is, actually, that is 12. That is about 12. So we actually did a noticeable increase. Yeah, there we go. I could have just looked there. But we also had to pay 8 million in bond profits. So the effective profit we've been seeing today is at 12 minus a little bit 8, so it's only 4. So we're actually now making money at a very slow pace, and we will be until we pay off this bond. So we actually just kind of, now we do have to let this kind of sit and run for a bit. We could, in theory, go into some of these routes and see, do we really want 2 trains running on medium demand instead of just 1? Do we really want trains running at night? At some point, I think this game... What is this button? Actually, So yes, you can actually break the routes down by when they're busy and when they're not. Which is always nice to see. I remember thinking about having that as an option at some point, and I just didn't know it was there. Maybe it's something that's been added. So white here, if we look at this. Yeah, so look at this. For the white line, it might be worth just not having any trains at all at night. Because there are some people using it, but it's not a lot. Certainly less comparatively than here we are on the red line, which actually has some significant stuff at the tail end of rush hour. So it's people who are maybe working a little bit late. And for orange, yeah, orange, you're getting, it's still not a lot. We could, in theory, maybe take that off. Ooh, here's one of our news updates. Someone rides the O line every day for 7 days. Transit enthusiast says it's their daily meditation. The game throws something like this at you every 1 or 2 weeks. It's just a fun little extra. There are some of these transit things that are just kind of thrown in on any map, but there are a lot that are actually city-specific, which makes things even more fun. How many people? 506. Another, it's about 1,000. It's probably about 2,000. That's pretty good. White, you at night, 250. Yeah, Sorry, White, we are going to drop your evening service, I think. And we are out of the evening service right now, so we can do that easily enough. But the midday service, the medium demand, that's still pretty useful across the board. Red, we don't even have... Actually, we haven't even made extra service for red yet, which we might want to. What am I looking at? I want to look at this. So our trains. This is our train usage stuff. This will tell us if any train is frequently working near or at capacity, or even over capacity. The game does let these trains go over capacity sometimes. Which there's no consequence of it, you just have people complaining. And if the trains are over capacity, other riders are going to not want to come on. They will prefer riding in their cars as opposed to an overpacked train. So if you see a line that is getting a lot of high capacity ridership, that's often a sign to add another train in. Now, our single red line train, it is not getting high capacity on. Granted, we are in the middle of the day. We'll see what happens during rush hour. It might be worth adding another rush hour service on red. But as of right now, it doesn't seem to be a big deal, especially because we're not seeing clogs at any of these stations. Okay, there's a tiny little bit you could see there at Washington Circle as they transferred from line to line. The transfer stations, you will sometimes see people hanging out at, just because they're waiting for one train to come by. But yeah, that doesn't seem to be an issue right now. Alright, so we've now turned off white for the evening. We'll see what that does to our revenue numbers. Because if someone is riding at that late hour, that means that person probably needs it at some other hour of the day. So you are completely losing ridership not only in the evening hours, but in some of the regular hours as well. So you have to be careful about that sort of thing. But we'll see what happens after another day or so runs on this. And in the meantime, I'm going to take a break from talking and just listen to the fun little bings of everything while I check some messages, because I have several messages right now on Telegram that I feel like looking at. Let's see here. Ooh. I'm posting that. One more thing here. What is that? Oh, hello. Alright, are we another day or so in now? I think so. We're getting close, at least. We are definitely... I think we're low on money as... Well, we're making money. Aren't we? Yes, we are slowly but surely making money. Very slowly, because of the bond payments. Did not see a big change in expenditures from turning off white on the evening, but we did save more than we lost in revenue, because we lost about We saved 1 million expenses and lost about $500,000 in revenue. So not a huge difference, but it's something. Oh, why are our profits so much higher on day 9 now? What did we do? What did we do? I don't know. But we're going to go in now. I want to look at how our stations are doing. So, not bad to start with. Usually when you're starting out your map, it's very hard to get stations above 10K or even 7K unless you're really going through some really high density area stuff. So the fact that I'm seeing a lot of 8s and 9s here, you know, I'll take it. And obviously we've got a couple stations that are really struggling. They'll be more important as we extend the network. But yeah, you definitely don't like seeing stations. At the beginning of the game, it's less important, but I personally never like seeing stations with ridership, daily ridership of less than 2,000. And we've got a lot of those at the moment. Some are pretty close to 2,000, so I'm not worried about that. But, you know, some of these lower ones. If you get a lot of them on a line, that's a sign you just didn't build the line smartly. And actually, that kind of makes sense, because remember we had that blue line there that has both of those really low ridership stations on it. So I'm going to go back in now. Let me see what we've got. Oh, I didn't actually save much higher than that, did I? So there's going to be one station right about that cross area there. But we're going to want to try to stay mostly going north. So what does that look like? We want to keep mostly going north. Ugh. Okay, where's this other station going to go? Don't like this. I guess we can build it like here? We'll go back north that way? Or I can build it here and kind of curve around. Because we're not hitting some of these people super well. Now, thankfully, you are still quite close to several stations. The only reason we're not getting a bunch of ridership from you is because you're not trying to go to where we're serving. You are going very far-flung places. You have a lot more inside, so if we want to actually get up there, because you're definitely further away from stations. So if we build a station like right here, that could serve you pretty well. Now this, I think, is the zoo, isn't it? I'm pretty sure that's the zoo. Because if I'm thinking I'm driving up this way, yes. Because there's another field that I'll play at often here. And I just drive up into it from, yeah. Yeah, right there. So this, yeah, this is definitely the zoo. So we can definitely make a station like right here and call it Zoo East. Because then we could really, get most of these people set up. But we are definitely nowhere near rich enough to build another station and track yet. That's going to be an interesting little bend in the trail for making that happen. And then from there, I think after this spot, we'll have our red and our blue split. I'm trying to remember what I had done on the previous map. I would have to go digging deeper in my screenshots to really figure that out, or just open the old map. Speaking of old map, let me actually save this one. We're only on day 10. I actually like where we are already, just being on day 10. We're going to save this. Enter save name. So this is Washington. This is like It's not V2 or V3 because I think I had those already. So we're going to call this V4. Hopefully I'm not overwriting something here. All right, game saved. Hopefully I didn't overwrite anything. Always save. We are an hour and a half into my 3-hour stream, so that's a good save spot, I think. All right, the other thing we can think of, not only just kind of getting ridership going, but let's look at worker costs or worker origins. So here's one thing that I've learned with this game is it's very hard to make these worker circles start changing colors because they are concentrations of many residents. So, you know, however many workers any one of these circles represents, like here, right in the city, right by that station, 11,000 workers. So even though we're getting some that are already on the line, like again, right, that one that we'd seen before, you have to go really far flung and cover a lot of people if you want to actually be serving that sort of worker area. And also, the interesting thing is making it work out in ways that people like. So again, if we actually go back here, that big circle of people right there, this is only on the orange line. It has a lot of people up here that want to get it. So actually, if we built the zoo station, we'd probably nab all 4 of those populations trying to get into the middle of DC. The one issue we have there is if we build this red line up, they get to DuPont Circle, and then what's the best route? Do they actually go all the way to Gallery Place and over, or do they get off at 16th and walk? Neither of those are great, and it's something that I've learned through other playthroughs that just having a lot of connections doesn't help if the actual route to work using those connections looks very zigzaggy. So we'll have to be careful. I do think that this worker circle is close enough to 16th Street that actually getting off of 16th and walking will be pretty straightforward. So if I actually look at this, 16th Street is just a 9-minute walk, and in fact, it's short enough that people can consider that a actual transfer. So you don't have to have 2 lines on top of each other for people to consider it an easy transfer for them. But yeah, if you can get close enough that, you know, that's easy to go from a endpoint perspective. No one's going to want the transfer from orange to red here because, I mean, you've got intersections on either side. But for the workers, that's pretty nice. Less than a 10-minute walk. We'll definitely do that. But again, we've got a ways to go before we can build another station. I wonder if there's something fun I can add on top of the stream here to make this a little more entertaining while we wait for the money to come in. I should, you know, one thing I haven't done yet in my, I don't know, however many months I've been here on Twitch, I haven't added an extensions thing yet. Largely because I've seen other streamers, when they make their extensions, they're often associated with using bits or whatever the free gain currency is in their streams, and you have to be affiliate just to get that unlocked, and I am obviously not at affiliate yet. I'm sure I know there are ways you can add extensions and make completely free to use fun stuff, so I'll have to try that when I get time, and I certainly don't have a ton of time right now. I am booked solid through the first week of April, which is my birthday weekend. So I've still got stuff to plan and stuff to just organize and set time aside to try to make sure everything works. Because I still have no clue exactly what I'm doing for my birthday, if anything. I'm going to try to take that Monday off, or at least half day. But we'll see. we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, because again, my March is way too busy. I have a puzzle competition this weekend, and then the rest of the weekend is the only open time I have before the following weekend when I am staffing a convention up in Baltimore. Which is a little upsetting for me because that exact same weekend is when the Nationals puzzle competition is. So we have a little monthly puzzle competition here in DC, and that's the one I'm going to this weekend. Nationals was actually in DC last year. It was held with AwesomeCon, which was amazing. It was my first time at AwesomeCon. I just did AwesomeCon again this past weekend, but Nationals is in Atlanta this year, later this month, and I can't do it because I have my responsibilities to the con that I staff, which is still an awesome con. I'm looking forward to it. The con originated in Baltimore, then came to DC, and is now back in Baltimore, so that's exciting. It's a larger drive for me, obviously, but it should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. It's just I have a lot of responsibilities to cover, and I'm realizing like every other day there's something I've dropped because, or not necessarily dropped, but just kind of delayed to the point of oh shit, because I have more responsibilities this year than I had previous year because there were staff shifts where I've basically been bumped up the ladder. So it's been a learning curve. I still feel comfortable. It's just everything's coming close. Oh. All right, I want to see something here. We still have 80 million on the bond and only 50 million in the bank. So obviously, if you pay off your bond early, then you don't have to worry about interest, and you'll save money in the long run. Honestly, the best way to save money in the long run is to never take out a bond in the first place. I could have waited that 10 days to make this 3-station extension of the White Line, but I wanted to build something more to show you guys. And we'll get there. Again, I like this game because you can do it as an AFK game. As long as you're making money, just let it sit in the background, run, then come back in, design another line, and build it. Because you've made money while you were AFK. Obviously not doing that right now, but I don't know. We will get there for sure. You know, I'm looking at this. I'm gonna go. So yeah, we're gonna get green coming up eventually. Green, green. Where would I build my other green line stations? One obviously here, because that's where the sky blue is going. 1, 2, 3. I would feel like I would want one more, like right in here somewhere. Does that make sense? Oh, yes. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That'd be an interesting little connector. And then, of course, our above ground sky blue line to do that. All right, you know what? While we're waiting for money to come in, I am just going to, you know what? I'm going to go and see if I can find the old map that I had of what I did with red and blue. Because I want to know, if I wanted to build 2 stations up red, what would I do next? So, let me see here. That was down here. Screenshots. So, so here is a bunch of old DC maps that I was making. Let's start going through them. You'll notice I had actually called it Green Line earlier. Let me zoom in here. Unfortunately, I've zoomed out to the point where I can't see the buildings. I did do the flop of red and green. Oh, here we go. So, actually, yes, that stop at Zoo East is the last stop where those 2 lines connect, because red goes to Zoo West, while blue will go further north. Okay. That's what I needed. So I'm going to 1 here, and then 1 somewhere up here. Why did I close that? Where was the next station? So this one now? Not quite. There we go. So it's in the black area, kind of going, what is that? 10 o'clock? We zoom out. It's in here, going 10 o'clock. Okay, so it is like right around there. Which puts us, I guess, maybe between... Yeah. Now, why is it going that way when I could go up to Van Ness? Okay, well, it kind of does. It turns and goes up, so the station must be like right here. I'm not sure if I want a station right there right now. I kind of want to just put one right here. Oh, that would actually work right here. Because then we're doing that curve up to Van Ness already. Okay. So we're building, we're building. Do I want to actually go above ground at this point? Because from here we go up and over. We're curving, we're bending here like I am above ground. And then we just follow that street. Henley Town, Friendship Heights. Yeah, we can just make the red line go above ground. So let's find a way to do that. So if we're still below ground here, we can go above ground in this section or over in this section. I'm going to go above ground over here because I don't remember if blue goes... Yeah, I think blue still needs to be below ground as it cuts over. I think. So it's going... Yeah, it's looping around like here somehow. And there's no street to do that on. So we're going to stay underground, but we'll be above ground by the time we get over here. All right, red. Let's plan ahead now. So if red is coming out, squiggling around here. Honestly, so there's the option here, as long as we're staying below ground, to almost cut as far west as we want toward the zoo and keep the line not as curvy like the road is. But we also do want to remember we're trying to actually serve like these people, in which case we want to be as close to them as possible, because there's obviously the animals aren't riding the metro. As funny as that would be to see. So, where specifically do we want to build this? Thinking like right around here. That's really curvy, but I think we'll do it. Because then that leaves us the option to go over and up, over. Yeah. Yeah. That'll do. So we'll build this up this way. Curvy curve. Oh, that is just so bent. 25 miles per hour. That is... Ugh. This should be better. 40. Not much better. What are we looking at cost-wise? 125 million. That's fine. Ugh. Ow. So 125 from the close to 65 where we are. Oh, we will also need... Hang on. Transit times, day 14. Love blooms. 3-hour romance between strangers. Conductor's 8th announcement of brief delays. Out who had planned our wedding. Strongly worded tweets to the transit social media team. More swearing about transit. So the question is, do I want to try to build a second station? Or do I just want to leave it at this and put my crossover right there? So if we are, in theory, at, okay, not 65 anymore, more like 60. But going from 65 to 125 is 60 million. So right now, Again, I think we're making, so 13, oh wow, 13 now. 13 and 14. That's impressive. So 13 and 14 minus around 7. So that's like 6 or 7 million per day. So we either do 6 or 7 million per day, so that would be 10 days of waiting without even worrying about paying off the bond. The other thing we can do is pay off the bond, because we're pretty close to that, and then try to just take the 13 or 14 million per day all the way up to 125, which I guess is also about 10 days. So it works out the same either way. We've got 10 days of waiting to do. As I mentioned earlier, it is always generally a good idea to pay off your bonds, and it is slightly quicker, I think, to go towards paying it off and then just eating or being able to take all of the revenue yourself. It'll definitely be quicker if instead of aiming toward that 125, if we build that second station. You know what? Let's do it. I know I don't like waiting, but it'll be fun. I promise it'll be fun. I promise it'll be fun. Let's not do that. Let's do like down there. Yeah, I think that works. I think that works. So what we're going to need to do here, let's get down here. And now we dive. Ah, there we go. So now, we do this, we do that. So now instead of 125, it doubled. It made sense. 250, and so now it absolutely makes way more sense to pay off the bond as soon as we can, and then let our revenue make up the difference. And again, so now we're looking at, if we pay off the bond, 20 days of waiting. Well, if we don't pay off the bond, it's going to be like 40 days of waiting. So yeah, at this point, a lot quicker. And the thing is, if we pay off the bond, we can even request an extra bond once we make it halfway there. So actually probably won't even be 20 days of waiting. Probably again, there's that 10, maybe more like 12. Yeah, because we need to get to 150, not 125. And then that'll be good. And then at some point we can split blue off and start coming back. So who else are we going to try to hit with blue? So yeah, we can come up here. Now ideally, I'm looking at this, it might have made sense to build something here down to 12 so that we could just cut the blue up underneath the houses completely. And get a little bit more into some of these people. So like you are going to be fine. Harvard Street is 11-minute walk from your house. That's great. You are tougher. Well, you're 15 minutes away from Cardozo. That's actually not bad. And Harvard's 23. That's about the limit, as I said earlier, about what I think people should be able to walk for a station. So that's actually still pretty well served. If we just build a blue line up here, then this guy should be served by it. And technically, he's still pretty well served as is by white. But that distance to that distance, yeah, that'll be fine for them. But that's her further down the road, as we said. We also do want to start extending. Where's the big high density stuff? We want to get, again, Columbia Pike is a big one. I actually need to hit this area. What is this? Alexandria West. Oh, Lincolnia. No, that's Lincolnia Park. That's not Lincolnia. Where is... Hang on, I'm being dumb. Oh no, that is Lincolnia. Yeah, I'm thinking about this area, not this one. Okay. We're also down over into Alexandria itself. Alexandria, we will hit with the blue line. That is one part of the existing DC Metro that I absolutely keep doing. Take the blue, past Pentagon, past the airport, down to Alexandria. That is a good corridor of people. Look at this. So here's Columbia Pike. I'm totally forgetting how I got this last time around. We'll probably want to extend orange this way to get some of these people. And as I said earlier, sky blue to get kind of what's splitting between orange and white right now. And then, yeah, yellow for the Columbia Pike will get into DC. Now, I wonder here, there's one thing I haven't really considered is like these workers. Where do they go? They're actually a lot in DC itself, so having some sort of internal line to get people here, not a bad idea. But even this person, 19-minute walk from the White House station, that's not bad. And especially these people, 13-minute. So I could make another station on the mall over here. You know, take the white line over like I had done way back when. Because when I did the white line earlier, it was this that really failed. Or not this, but further up here. There's just not many people up this direction, which is where I had put the white line. And like, no. That did not help at all. I'm going to use sky blue to maybe hit these people. Actually, let me plan that out. Sky blue's coming down to, not Logan Circle, a little bit past, through the west end. If it's staying above ground, it kind of has to do this. So it'll be coming over here. We can send it up a little bit, and then but we'd have to come back down almost immediately. But that's enough. That would be enough. Because this is where the workers are. We come up, in, and down. Yeah, we can do that. We can do that. And then we'll have blue come this way. Wait, no. Blue has to come over here, if I remember correctly. So it comes in and over. There we go. Yeah, which doesn't actually help these workers or these workers that much. But something this way wouldn't either. Alright. Oh, it's me dreaming about what my next subway lines will look like. I'm weird like that. I know I'm weird. Oh, we can pay off the loan now. And actually make all of our money for ourselves. But yes, the goal now is, what was it, 250 million? 265 because I had to add the crossover. That's right. Had to add the crossover. So 265 divided by 13 would be 20 days, but 165 divided by 13, that's only like 12 days, maybe 13, which is still almost doubling the time that we've currently been playing. So we are almost certainly not going to get there by the time stream ends, which means I'm actually very much considering, let's put something else on. What would be fun to do game-wise? As build, 6 p.m. Yes, we're very close. Oh, I love those little bings of the trains going through. Oh, I need to get more water. I'll be right back. All right, 10:30 p.m. 11, 4, 5. There we go. We pause. Let's take out another quick loan here. Now we can build those tracks. All right. Now we go to the roots, red line, extend up to, we're going to rename these as well. I need to figure out what I'm going to name that one. We're going to now definitely have higher frequency service there. So Harvard Street, no. You are Zoo East. Quebec Street, no. You are Zoo West. Although you're kind of off of where the zoo is, but that's fine. That's fine. We'll make do. Alright. And now we let play. And we see what that does. Because again, we've got several populations here in kind of the Mount Pleasant Lanner Heights area that should want to go down to 16th Street and into downtown DC. But we'll have to wait for the morning rush to see if those people actually materialize. We are getting nighttime use at Zoo East, though, which is interesting to me. And there's someone at Zoo West. You know what? This is going to bug me. It's not Zoo East. We'll just call it National Zoo. And then this, we'll say it's Cleveland Park. Why not? There's no E. There we go. Fine, we'll do it that way. And now we're... Oh, did I already miss the morning rush? It's already 8:30. But there's... Oh, there we go. There we go! National Zoo, definitely a busy station. And even Cleveland Park's getting its business. That's pretty good. I'm happy with that. It's now 10:30. I am now... Let's look at National Zoo here. Ooh, damn! Look at that. We could certainly use more than 500 commuters at that peak hour there, but over the course of the day, looks like that's going to be a pretty good station. I wonder how our business is going. So yeah, the red went up. Expenses went up because we increased frequency on the red line. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a little bit on the 5. Under. We might be making a little less now, actually. The increase in service might not have been offset by the increase in ridership. Well, we'll just have to see what the full day looks like. Actually, we'll go all time here. Oh, I wonder if we have a mismatch. So there's 35. That's 35. Sometimes there was a previous update of the game where they said they fixed some of the finances, but it actually broke the finances, at least from what I could tell. um, where you sometimes started making more money than, well, one of the graphs said you were making more money than you actually were. And then if you took out a loan, it completely broke the system and you lost money that you weren't supposed to be losing. So I don't know how that happened, but oh, we have a full day in the books now. Okay. So, yeah, that's not a great change there. That's actually barely any change. So that extension wasn't really worth it. As much as I like how busy that station is, well, let's just see, how busy is it? 3K, okay. Could be better. We've got a 10K station now, though, down one of our city center things. So we have to start imagining now what is the best way to bring in the most new writers. So one option is making our sky blue line. Another one is maybe extending orange out. That is definitely a possibility, because I think there's a fair amount of people over there. The question is, do they want to come into the city? So if I were to try to serve these people, they do want to come into the city. Look at all of that. So an extension there looks fine. What about these people? They could come in. We've got more coming down to where we might want yellow, though. The other thing is, where do these people want to work if we actually serve them somehow? They do want to come up into the city. So the problem right now is I don't have any plans for a line that just goes straight north-south. There's blue that'll come around here and go down to the Pentagon. I know we've got green. Actually, yes. So if we wanted to make our green line, that might be the next big addition that we do. We'll extend the orange a little bit and then build green. And these workers, like, where are you coming from? Kind of all over, a little bit down here. These workers, as we said, there's a lot kind of up that would be nice to get. So the blue, if we get blue running, that could help these workers. But that's going to be a lot of ifs. The extension to the orange and then the addition of green is the best help we can do right now. Alright, so if we wanted to extend orange, let's go back and study my old screenshot here. It just kind of comes down wherever this orange and purple mix. I can trace that little stream right there, maybe, which is this. So right around here, we want a station. So maybe like one here, one here. Like you have a 20-minute walk to the nearest station. Absolutely, we're going to put a station here, and then here, and yeah, that should do. That should do pretty well. Anyone else? Because if we build a station here, I think that works. Because that should be like a 15-minute walk. So let's plan our next route now. And then, as you said, we have one like halfway in between here. So like right around here-ish? Here-ish. Let's try to cross all 3 streets if we can. Nah, that's fine. Here. That'll do. Okay, so simple little 2-station extension on this side. That will, in theory, let's see how much this costs. Oh, wow, that's a 43-mile-per-hour bend. That seems better than that. But let's add the crossover. So this, again, yeah, it's like 250 million. So it'll take a while before we get there, but that'll be that extension, and then we start building green to help serve this lower area. And green, we hit Union and whatever, it kind of veers west as we go. So I did something like this. I must have, oh, okay, like right down here-ish. Yeah. So that's what I had done. Just go straight out the point. Straight out Buzzard Point past the baseball stadium and the soccer stadium. Now let's look at our demand again. Because yeah, all of these people want to go up into the city. Now, if we went straight across, that would be even better for them. But most of this work is served by red and orange. So, oops, didn't want to do that. So if we have, again, green line comes down and splits this group of people in half perfectly, then we don't really need to worry about them getting to their other works in there. That'll be okay. And if we do workers, not a lot of workers around here. There are some workers like right here, so we would like these guys are being served by whatever green line station we put right there. They're all over the place. So it's not like extending the green line up this way really helps them. Let's see, this is Congress itself. So if we build a green line station right in front of Congress, well, there'll be some help going due south. Not much else yet. So the question is, if we're building green up this way, again, I think it comes back up and connects up here. Because yeah, I went by the hospital there. Because there's the lake. Yeah, so the green does go up and meets white. Comes over, down. And again, has a stop right here, so it hits light blue. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that would be 7 stations to build on green. That's a lot of stations. We would have to make a lot of money to build that, but we do certainly want to. We got, if we do the minimum, we would do one. There'd be 1 station here, which doesn't help these people a lot, but 1 here, like these are walkable to 1 station right here. Ideally, where's the second station that we put in this area though? Do we want to go straight down the road or do we want to go diagonal? I think we just go straight down the road here. Because we put one right here serves all of these workers pretty well and actually hits that residences nicely. So 1, 2, we don't need. If we put a station here, how far are you from Union right now? 14-minute walk from Union. We don't need to put a station right in front of the Capitol. Awesome. So if we have Union, something right on the edge of the mall, and then right here, 1, 2, 3, 4 to connect to Capitol Street. 4 stations is a doable start. I think 4 stations would be a doable start for the green line once we get there. Until then, we have to wait for this orange line extension to work out. And I am a little upset that the red line extension up here hasn't gotten us a better increase. Because it has true in the past that usually, for me, the extensions give you a better increase than just an entirely new line does. So I don't know. We'll make do. We will make do. We're only on day 34, which honestly, all things considered, is a pretty good start. I'd have to go back and look at my finance numbers from the previous run, because I know I took screenshots of those, to see how that compares. And actually, let's see. Nope. I apparently did not take screenshots of my finance numbers for that. Really? All just maps? I took finance screenshots starting for Baltimore. Okay. Well, oops. Let's just close that out completely now. I'd have to actually open the old save file to see what those screenshot or finance numbers would be, I guess. But 48,000, that's already doing well. We're still at 91 there, so. Oops. I wonder if it would be worth extending the white again into this area of the capital. Because if we do actually have white going across, there would be one station here, on this side of the capital to add. And I don't want to do that. If anything else, I think we would have white come across, serving right here, and then maybe cut over so that it links up with this station. That actually does not sound bad. Something here, zoom over, it's there, and then we come back over to here. Yeah, and maybe put one right here in Capitol Hill to bridge the gap. Okay, so white comes over this way. Green comes out like that. And then we've got sky blue cutting across, and eventually blue going north-south so that we hit the Pentagon. Because that is just incredible. But we do need to actually build out to make it worth people going to the Pentagon. Because right now, everyone's so far away, and we don't have station to make the Pentagon super worth it. What's more worth it is everything down here in Arlington, in Crystal City by the airport. These people actually, yeah, as I said, they want this more. I have to think more on how I'm factoring all that in. There's one other interesting thing that I did on the previous Washington, D.C. map, is there were a lot of routes that I ended up splitting up into sections where the section that actually went into the city had much higher frequency. I'm debating if I want to do that again on this map, because on that map, everything was on light rail, as opposed to this heavy rail that I'm using now. Heavy rail has a much better capacity. So I'm highly tempted to just let things go, but I know cutting the route into sections and being less traffic on the outside sections will save money in the long run. So it just really depends. Part of me who just likes public transit says people on the outer edges of the map deserve 10-minute wait times just like the people in the inner city do. So I kind of want to stick with that if I can. But we'll see. thought I saw people backed up here. There is, okay, yeah, that is... What are those people waiting for? They're just kind of stuck there. Hello? I think that's on you. There's just a group of people that's stuck there. And it's not like... I wonder if those are people that got abandoned when I deleted the blue line. And now they just don't know where to go, even though they're on a perfectly good white line. Huh. Weird. Very weird. Alright, we're at basically 60,000 now. Still at 88 there. But we'll get there soon enough. Because we actually are making a good clip of money even with the loan. Message here. What do we got here? Oh, we've got a transit times thing. Achieve 76% performance. Now, there actually is something interesting. You can go into your trains and actually look at their arrivals and departure times, as well as what's scheduled. And I'm not delayed at all, it seems. So that's interesting where that 76% came from. I think I've seen that 76 before in other reports, so it might just be a game default value. But I don't know. What else do we got here? So many messages coming in. Both social messages and business ones for the con that I mentioned earlier. Oy vey. Let's see here. There's that. There's that. Spaces. Okay. Hopefully that works out. All right, where are we? 67,000 versus 80 million versus 85. Come on, map. We want to pay off this loan. So I'm already thinking that this extension probably won't gain me much more profit, just based on the lack of whatever for this extension, even though it had a bunch of people right next to it. Oh, huh. That's not pulling very much weight. Um, messages from every single direction. Sorry, I'm very distracted for this stream tonight. But again, as I kind of mentioned earlier, this Subway Builder is very much sort of an AFK game, and I should have planned more around that. I'm glad we got a little bit of Koromon in. That was fun to make some progress. Okay, hopefully that does it. I love seeing all the little red dots moving around on this map, though. Okay, now I'm getting impatient because I realize I've only gone up like 2 or 3 million from the last time I checked. I just want to pay off the loan, please. I guess we are almost at the 3-hour mark. We're gonna wait to pay off the loan, because I don't think we're gonna get to the point where we can actually build this tonight. This is even running on fastest speed we can. I would love it if there was like one speed quicker, or an option that you could just click forward a full day, assuming you don't change anything, so that you can click through days as quickly as you want. But, whatever. Maybe that'll be a future update. We'll also have to check for other cities and stuff, because I do need to take on those top 3 cities. What were those? New York, Chicago, and I'm now forgetting what the third one was. I know for a long time they didn't have LA in the game, and I think they recently added it, so that might have been one of the top ones. Because if San Francisco wasn't one of the top 3, then I don't know. And then, of course, trying out some of the English cities, because those are ones I basically have no experience in whatsoever. Like, for a lot of these other US cities, I have an idea of what you can do with them. The British ones, I have no familiarity at all. So, that will be fun to try. But we will get there at some other point. I know this probably isn't the most engaging stream content, so anyone who's still watching live, or who ends up watching the VOD, I do appreciate. We're not making as much money as I thought we would be. We're still about 10 million short, which means if we're making, 4 million a day or so, so we got 14 minus 7.5, so we're making 7 some per day, which means less than 2 days time I should be able to pay off this loan. But I'm impatient. I wish you could just click through a day instantly. That'd be so much nicer. Like, so I'm trying to think how quickly this actually goes by. 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000. So yeah, 1 second of real time is 10 minutes of game time, which, I mean, that's already 600 times faster than a day, but seconds to a minute, minutes to an hour, 24 hours in a day. that's still over 2 minutes to get through, about 2.5 minutes real time to get through 1 day of game time. If you could get through 1 day of game time in like 10 seconds, or as I said, with an instant click, that would be so much nicer. But at that point, your multiplier would be so fast. I do think you couldn't run these animations and run the clock. It would just have to be like a click. And the game just advances. And I don't know if it could do all those calculations at once, because I know in previous builds of the game, if you actually tried to go station ridership, you can see it's updating these numbers in real time. And the more stations you had and the more riders you had, this would slow to a crawl. Like, you basically couldn't look at your station ridership if you had more than like 100, 150 stations. Because it was just too many calculations it was trying to do at once, and it wasn't optimized for that yet. Now, thankfully, it is. Like, even if you have a massive map, like the San Francisco map I was showing off at the start of the stream, you could see this real-time stuff quite easily still. But it's interesting, for sure. And I do like how you can do different views of everything. Oh wow, you've even got people doing some you do have people doing walking transfers between red and orange. What? Why not just go 1 station over? Is it really that much quicker? Well, of course, those transfers make kind of sense. Again, if we had blue going, you wouldn't need the transfer there. Okay. 77, we're so close. Day 40 was where we needed to get to. So we'll go through Morning Rush on day 40, which is still probably about 2 minutes from now. Pay off the loan, and then we'll save and call it a night. But that is Subway Builder. It gets, I mean, as I said, I love it, both because I can have it on in the background while I'm working, and then when I have a couple minutes, I'll go in and just build several stations, or build an entirely new line if it's been a while. I love it. And just kind of snaking your way through the city, it's fun. It's fun. I need to figure out what I'm gonna do with the white line actually once I keep green going north. Actually, let me look at my old screenshots and figure that out. Which I think will be like right here if we go, because if we've got white going across, because yeah, green just goes off to the side once we swapped it. So I'm definitely going to need to figure out what else white can do. I may have it cross over a little bit, hit back maybe with the sky blue line. We would have it basically making a U shape, which will be interesting. Let me zoom out now. Because yeah, I previously had white kind of sneaking up the river, and you can tell there's not much there for it. There's like that spot, that worker spot, and then light density. But going up the red line where there's higher density just makes more sense. So this white, I mean, so green, as we know, will come up from here. It'll go through Fort Totten. Not Tacoma Park, because it'll go off to College Park after that. So green will go like this, roughly. So white, yeah, white would either come back up and hit where blue is going through Silver Spring, which is kind of redundant. Or we can have it go off to the side. But at Hyattsville, it's already green, so honestly, having it go through Brooklyn this way might be best. Do we have the space to do it? I mean, we can, just... Yeah, it's possible. And then Maybe cross over with Sky Blue at Woodbridge. The question is, who wants to get on the white line? That's what I need to be asking. Who wants to get on the white line? Like, who's coming into Howard? Well, nothing that the green line or the orange line isn't handling. Is it going to help anyone at the hospital? Okay. We can go over to Landover. For that one person. White line does come down into here, so let's actually ask these people. Is there anyone... Okay, there are some people that could get helped. Brentwood and Landover. Where else is white going to go? White's going to come down here, as we said. It'll catch these people. These workers. Oh, yeah, look at that. Oh, no, that's orange. But again, going down... So maybe white and green match each other coming toward Brentwood, but then they branch off with green going north as expected and white going east. And if we were to hit up these people... Now at this point you're so far down south, it would almost be more sensible to take like yellow to green and over, as opposed to looping around with white. And here's the thing. We don't just want to have white stop service in the middle of the green line, because that will get us back to some of those signaling problems that I mentioned working on previously. But 87 we can now absolutely pay off the loan. Right about noon. I think that's about the time we paid off the previous one as well. So yeah, I'm going to have some issues with what white's doing, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And again, I do think just going east into Brookland and then we hit Woodbridge. Well, no, we kind of, well, do we want to go east, hit Woodbridge, or do we want to keep going east? Maybe we link up with... Actually, we can't link up with Sky Blue, because white's going to be at 6 feet under, while Sky Blue is going to be traversing the surface. But again, there's Brentwood we had mentioned earlier, and maybe in the Landover, Mount Rainier. I mean, if white goes over and crosses at Mount Rainier, that could be doable. That's somewhat close to Brentwood. We can still kind of cross over, hit Bladensburg. Yeah, that's doable, especially if we link on this track, because that's definitely a train track path from the existing real world. Anyway, that's Subway Builder. Let's one last look at our station ridership. Got a few stragglers down near the end. But that's okay. Finances. I do like how we've been pretty consistent. Hopefully we'll make more soon enough. Once we break that, there's such a huge jump going from 10 million a day to 100 million a day. And relatively speaking, not nearly as big a jump going from 100 to 200. We started off at 30, and we're only up at like 43 right now. Well, 34 to 43. So our first big construction project on the orange still accounts for the vast majority of the money we're making. which is why I'm extending the orange, because I think that'll help a bit more. But yeah, that's my second attempt here at Subway Builder in DC. I'm gonna, you know what, let me save this. Load save. Make sure we are now building out the old one. It's back. We're actually gonna now load, hang on. Back. Let's exit to menu. So I'm gonna load up, see if we can find, okay. So actually I didn't need to save it as V4. I could have saved it as V2, but we're gonna pull up our old DC map here. I'll show you where we were just to end the stream. And we can compare ourselves to the very beginning of how we started. So yes, this is my ultimate DC map. There's like multiple belt loops. There's purple, magenta, pink, very light pink. I even forget what I called that. Like maybe lavender. And then there's even a black line that doesn't loop all the way around. But we get outside a bunch of them. You go all the way south. We're hitting Waldorf, like we mentioned. A bunch of cities up north that we wouldn't otherwise hit. Let's go to our finances and see if we can find. So our expenses previously, we had $3 billion on the first day, and then about 200 there. So that was 200 on day 6, another 240 on day 16, and then 340 on day 37. So that's somewhat comparable to where we are. So after our initial 2.9 billion, so yeah, 3 basically, 440, 780 is how we managed to spend by day 34. So let's now 3,780,000,000. Where are we? Yeah. No. 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 That's the V4. Why did you do that? All right, let's look at the autosave at least. Oh, I've confused the game so much. Oh no. All right, we're just gonna have to close. I can't go back and look. We'll make the comparison another time. Hope you all have enjoyed. If you're still watching the YouTube VOD, now's the time to do all the fun YouTube stuff. Hit like if you like the video. Subscribe and ring the bell if you want to see more like this. There's a link down in the description to my Ko-fi page if you ever want to support me. It is always appreciated. And with that, I will see y'all later. Bye.